Welcome to Real People, Real Voices. I'm your host, James Jackson.
I'm your co-host, Pastor Wayne Moore.
Always a pleasure to host
It
with you.
is, my friend. It is. Let's talk about our sponsors before we go any further.
Lee Castle and Crawley.
Yes, and Fervent Care Christian Academy has been with us for 3 years now.
Yeah, we're excited about the Marion County Public Health Department.
Going into their 2nd year, and we're grateful for that. And Al, our new sponsor.
New sponsor.
Al's Modern Clothing and Shoes. Brother don't have to sag all the time. He can get clean now.
A gentleman gets dressed up.
Yes, sir.
Of course, they've got things for everybody.
Yeah, everything. He has everything for everybody.
Yeah.
And so.
And we want to thank you all for being such loyal viewers.
Yes.
And joining us on Friday nights and Sunday afternoons. We also want to encourage you to go to YouTube and subscribe. They're on YouTube, WHMB TV 40. Also,
Like us on Facebook.
like us on Facebook.
We're there. We're there for you.
Yeah. And all of these shows, you can go back to YouTube, watch this one after it's over, and some of the others that you might have missed. We got a great guest coming up.
Yes, he's an attorney. He's been fighting on the front lines for health care, not only in Indianapolis and Central, but all over the state. He's here today. We had him on before. He's coming back to tell us some of the things that have taken place. And we have not won the war in healthcare in Indiana, but we've won a battle.
Yeah.
And the people of Indiana need to know that there's somebody out there on the front lines fighting for them, that they might have effective health care and affordable health care.
That's good when you can have a win in something like that.
Yes, our seniors need it.
Yeah.
Our seniors need it.
So stay with us. We have much more to come. We'll be back after these messages. Welcome back to Real People, Real Voices. We're joined by Mr. Fran Quigley, or I should say Professor Fran.
Professor Quigley, yes.
Thank you for having me, Pastor.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us today. So some great things are happening in healthcare.
Yeah, the folks in Indiana, people of Indiana, including Central Indiana, have spoken, and our governor listened. I think that Pastor Moore predicted that last time I was here quite some time ago.
Yes, I would hope that he would listen. I would hope that he would continue to listen. He needs to be the people's governor and not the party's governor. And I think if he's the people's governor, he'll have a long political life if he does that.
And that's one of the things that we're talking about is advocacy that comes from the community can help create public policy.
Yeah.
And that's, as we understand, the driving factor between some of the things that happen.
Right. So the story, and some of your viewers may remember because you were kind enough to have me on a while ago to talk about it, that the governor intended to impose work requirements on folks who were on the Healthy Indiana plan. There's 400,000 plus people across the state, including many people in our community, who rely on the Healthy Indiana plan for their health care. Imposing a work requirement doesn't sound bad on its face, but there's a lot of red tape involved, there's a lot of reporting, there's a lot of details, and when they've rolled it out in other states, thousands of people have lost their health care.
Yeah.
So we were very concerned that was going to happen here, and we talked about it, again, I think it's been a little more of a year ago.
We've been fighting this for about a year, and now we have a small battle. We still have some things to go forward with, but hopefully our governor will listen. Because it's really for the well-being of the state of Indiana.
Yeah. It was really beyond winning this particular fight where the governor decided we're going to back off on work requirements for now, suspend them for now, hopefully forever. It was really inspiring to see the effect of community advocacy, to your point, Pastor, that Baptist Minister Alliance, the Concerned Clergy of Indianapolis, folks across the state of Indiana, lots of different folks from rural and urban communities came together, pushed the governor, and he listened. And it just is a good reminder for us that we are the people, and the elected officials, including the governor, work for us. And if we raise our voice loudly enough, they will take action.
It was a melting pot type of assembly.
It definitely was, yeah.
It was a melting pot type of assembly. I mean, it was Hispanics, blacks, whites, and it was just the total culture of the state of Indiana that came together to make sure that voices were heard. And we are very much aware that we're going to have to do it again to make sure that the suspension, how he has not signed on that, hopefully he can make it permanent,
Right.
to where we have never to revisit this again.
Right.
And move forward to get what we need at the next step of the process, which would be that which will come out as soon as we can put it together.
Okay. And there's still with folks, some people may struggle with that, your viewers may struggle with our family members who do Healthy Indiana Plan still has this really confusing premium requirements called Power Account. And sometimes people don't know where to send it, or they send it someplace and it doesn't get recorded. And that's caused a lot of people to lose their health care. So that's being challenged now. There's been some disturbing evidence recently, some reports coming out that that's been very disproportionately impacting people in the African American community across the state, kicking people off health care, barring them from getting in for the first place. So we're challenging that too. The same coalition is raising a voice saying, let's not have work requirements between people and their medicines. Let's not have these premium requirements, especially when folks are low income.
And then the insulin situation, working on that as well. The high cost of insulin for diabetics it is outrageous. Some people can't even afford that now, and so we have to try to find ways to have affordable resources in place so that people can get those things that they need.
So what would you say to some of the folks who are watching? Because, you know, the healthcare nationally, the healthcare system across the state seems to be constantly changing. Is there a newsletter, or is there some way people can stay abreast of the facts?
I appreciate you inviting that. I get my cue. So hopefully, I think it's on screen. Our organization is called faithinhealthcare.org, and it's all one word, faithinhealthcare.org. We do a weekly newsletter, and we send it out, and we're proud to be in partnership with the Baptist Ministers Alliance and Concerned Clergy of Indianapolis. And as to Pastor Moore's point, this is a statewide group of folks from all kinds of communities, and that's where the power comes in. I think Pastor Green, the president of Concerned Clergy, said that before. When you get all these folks together, then you start actually having an impact. So healthcare, of course, is integral to all of our lives, and almost all of us know somebody in our family who struggles to pay for their care, struggles to afford their insulin or their blood pressure medicines or their inhalers or what have you. And so we try to advocate for that. And the premise is that healthcare is a human right, and folks of all faith communities and all moral backgrounds can agree on that. We shouldn't have people not getting the insulin they need or the blood pressure medicines they need, or not going to the doctor because they don't have enough money in their pocket.
Right.
And folks from all kinds of communities agree on that.
And there ought to be dollars there to create programs for those things to happen. Just recently, we were just talking about the opioid situation that's taking place around the state. And it seems like other places in the state of Indiana are able to get the resources, but there are certain places that just can't. And so we're going to be fighting that here real soon. And hopefully people will understand that there are people out there who are advocating for those type of things to take place, and to make sure that they have the health care and the information that they need to transition into those areas that they need to transition into. And so that's where we are with that. I think Mr. Quigley's doing a great job fighting this. And Robin Shackelford was online with us, fighting out there with us. She was there, and she's going to be honored this year at the Emancipation Proclamation Program, which will be at Olivet, January 1. And for her work and her skills that she brought to the table to make sure some of this took place. And just so many people, not only her, but so many people have been involved to stop the pen of the governor. And I thought that was amazing. And Fran, you need to be, the whole group, I mean, really needs to be commended, because you saved the lives of a lot of people who had problems with medication, who would not be able to have insurance. But you need to be commended for that. And I think the city of Indianapolis needs to tap into that website and give a shout and give some support to what you're doing.
Well, I appreciate that, Pastor. And again, it was really an inspiring example of everybody coming together. I appreciate you giving the shout out to Representative Shackelford, the Black Legislative Caucus. And frankly, it took the folks in the African-American Indianapolis community were the leaders. Yeah. And then the rest of the state came along. But it took the folks, the leadership in this community.
This is where the core started, right?
Absolutely.
Here.
Absolutely.
And we can't say that Indianapolis is not doing anything. We were able to bring people together to make that happen. Fran, give us another shout out to where we can get in contact with you.
Sure. Our website is faithinhealthcare.org. It's all one word. And we do have a weekly newsletter, e-newsletter. We send it out. It's free, of course. And we try to give folks not just information, but also some inspiring examples. There's a lot of folks from different faith communities. A lot of times they're physicians or nurses or frontline folks who are inspired by their faith to actually be advocates and servants at the same time. And to Pastor Jackson's point, we do need the advocacy because this doesn't happen without folks pushing our elected officials.
And if there's anybody who knows about advocacy, this man does. And he's been a great advocate for those in our community. We want to.
Well, we appreciate that always here on the program. You all lift up the advocates in the community, so we appreciate being part of that.
Thank you for your coordinating efforts. Without which none of this would work.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So God bless you. All the best to your effort. Stay with us. We have much more to come. We'll be back after these messages. Welcome back to Real People, Real Voices. I'm your host, James Jackson.
I'm your co-host, Pastor Wayne Moore.
And what a wonderful achievement. All of the different collaborating agencies and the people coming together to make sure that the folks in Indiana can continue to get great health care. And speaking of health care and collaboration, we've got a new, the mayor of Indianapolis has to make a decision on a new chief, if that hasn't been done already.
Yeah, first of all, let me say this. We have agreed here in the future to make sure we talk about what the city of Indianapolis is doing in 2020. And so the first thing that's going to take place that I think is going to be major, as you just mentioned, Pastor Jackson, is the new police chief. And so we must say Brian Roach has done the best job that he could do with what he's had to work with. We want to commend him on that. So he's going to be retiring. We're going to be looking for a new police chief that is sensitive to all aspects of the community and authentic in community engagement. Because we do have as you said earlier, not only do we have gunshot homicides, but now we're getting a lot of stabbing homicides and non-fatal shootings are going on. We need a chief that's going to be in the community, that the community can respect, and the community can feel that they have something in kind as it relates to fighting crime together in central Indianapolis and all over Marion County.
Well, certainly the Hogshead administration has its hands full in selecting the right person. I thought, and I still think that we should have had somebody waiting in the wings because of where we are. We've had record homicides for almost 4 years. And Chief Roach said he would give it 3 years. Of course, at the taping of this show, because we're not precisely sure of when it's going to air, but at the taping of this show, there has not been any indication as to who that person might be. And I thought, Dr. Moore, and think that when you're in a situation like this from a leadership perspective, you always want to have a quick transition because there's so many people out here in Indianapolis. I mean, they say overall crime is coming down. I take issue with that. I don't think overall crime is going down. I think there are some acts of crime that don't get reported.
Right.
So overall, the administration, in my opinion, has failed to sufficiently protect the people who live in the county, and that's unfortunate. So I'm hoping that the new chief can inspire. I'm hoping that the new chief can galvanize the community leaders over this issue that we have, and hopefully we'll see it going down next year.
Yeah, hopefully, and to your point, where you said that you thought and you would had anticipated that there would be somebody waiting in the wings. Some time ago, maybe a month ago, we were in a Afro-American agenda for the city of Indianapolis.
Yeah, and you all led that.
And we led that.
VMA, Concerned Clergy.
And we found out that there are those who have different administrative strategies and skills. And so when those things are aired and take place, then you really have to understand that those strategies that you were talking about, people waiting in the wings, some people might not agree with those type of administrative tactics. But in seminary, we've always been taught to make sure you have 2 or 3 people in line are being trained to do certain things. It has to be a great choice because our city is crime-stricken. It's crime-stricken, and it's just about every morning you get up. If there's not a non-fatal, there's a homicide or stabbing going on. So it's becoming almost every day, if not every day, it's every other day.
Yeah.
And so we need a chief that's going to be community engaged, and the engagement has to be authentic. There needs to be some task force created to talk about certain things in the community, certain areas that need to be dealt with. The 5 main hot zip codes. It's just a lot going on.
Yeah.
And we need a man that's going to work with the community, along with those whom he supervises and governs, to bring these numbers down.
And from what Chief Roach has said in some interviews, quite possibly the new person will come from among the ranks of IMPD, which is very interesting.
I have no comment on that.
The final decision, of course, will be the mayor's.
It will be the mayor's, but I have no comment on that right now.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting with this administration.
And that's not to cut you off.
No, I
don't want to start talking about the rank and file.
Yeah.
Because there's some things that need to really take place to bring those numbers down.
Yeah. Well, I think that this administration sort of runs the city and the department akin to how the United States government runs America. You have the commander-in-chief, who is the president of the United States, and this mayor, who was one of the top law enforcement officers in the state of Indiana at one time.
Yeah.
And eliminated the public safety director's position, which I thought was a mistake. So now he is absorbing all of the energy, pass or fail, that comes from either succeeding or failing in public safety. Public safety at one time considered to be the most basic responsibility of the mayor. And I follow his Twitter feed, has said nothing, has tweeted out nothing about the enormity of criminal activity with regard to homicides that's taking place in the city of Indianapolis, and I'm disappointed with that. So,
but you know, James, I have to say this, and this is my opinion and not in defense of anybody. I think in this context, I heard the mayor say one time that homicides, he takes the blame for that. He can't do that. No man who governs a city, nor state, nor country can take blame for homicides. Homicides are community issues. And the problem with this particular administration, they don't trust people who can come to the table and help them. And
well,
so,
in that, he would have to take the blame for not leading an effort to bring that collaboration to fruition.
Yeah, in that area. But he cannot take the blame for the homicides that go on in our community, because there's a lot of things going on that he has no control over. But I do think that the collaboration needs to become more intense and authentic and intentional.
Yeah. Well, there's a couple of things I think that he could have done that would have quite possibly prevented some of the homicides.
Right.
And that he did not do, which were part of his public safety plan back in 2015. We'll probably have to talk about that in a full show at some point.
Yeah, and talk about how homicides had become a part of the issue to where the council could have acted on it in some kind of way, which never did.
I do agree.
Yeah.
So we have more to talk about, but it's going to have to be another show.
Yeah,
Let's take more
man,
time than we
love
have.
this.
And we'll be talking more about it.
Yeah, 2020.
Yeah,
Look forward to it.
2020.
Yeah, we're going to talk about Jesus and the city.
Yes. That's going to be pretty good.
Yeah, it is.
So thank you all for joining us. We have the rundown up next. We'll be back after this. Welcome back to Real People, Real Voices. I'm your host, James Jackson.
I am your co-host, Pastor Wayne Moore.
And I'm your executive producer, Faith McKinney.
And thank you for doing such an extraordinary job.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you.
2019 going into 2020.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm just so excited. I've got a lot of things planned for the rest of the year. So.
And we do too.
What a wonderful, wonderful segment we had with Professor Quigley.
Oh my God, to know that the work restrictions are not going to be an issue for healthcare at this point. Hopefully we can get and keep working with Mr. Quigley and concerned clergy, with David Green, Baptist Ministers Alliance, and all other agencies that are involved with that. To make sure that healthcare healthy Indiana can maintain itself and not be accosted by a lot of aggressive political innuendos that have nothing to do with the lives of people.
That's right. That's right.
Well, you know, when I think about that, and as we were interviewing him, I think about the things that are going to go into place eliminating SNAP benefits or food stamps.
Right.
For thousands and thousands of Indiana Hoosiers.
And I think just over 700 are now being approached in that area about food stamps. It's a lot of things that are going to be withdrawn. Just to say we have a great rainy day fund. I mean, people are hurting because we have a massive surplus. And that's not the way to govern anybody's state.
It's raining every day for a lot of people.
Yeah, a lot of
Yeah,
people.
well, we'll have to, as faith people, we'll have to put things in place to fill in the gaps. Jesus said, the poor you always have with you.
Always with you. And he never has told us to stop helping them either.
No, we lend to the poor, we lend to him.
That's
Yeah.
right.
So thank you all for joining us. And remember, you can go to WHMB TV 40 on YouTube. You can watch this show when it's over and other shows that you might have missed. You can play those over again and like us
On Facebook.
on Facebook. We would love to have you as one of our friends there, or you can follow us on Facebook. Until next time, God bless you and thank you for watching the show.